It's NFL Week 5, and this is your DraftKings Week 5 NFL First Look, where we're going to go through all of the positions, the matchups, all that good stuff, and just get ready for NFL Week 5 on DraftKings. Week 4 was, I would say, pretty spectacular. If you watch this video, of course, we had core plays on names like Omari and Hampton and Drake London. Well, let's see how that worked out. That's right. DFS Army, one of the things we've been doing at DFS Army is, of course, attacking these pocket mini-max championship qualifiers. These are these contests where you can put 150 lineups in for $1.50 or $10 or some very, very nominal amount of money. And if you win, you win a ticket to a championship showdown, I guess, for the Super Bowl worth with $400,000 in prize money. Point is, it's an awesome contest, super inexpensive to get into, and you flex the domination station optimizer muscles when attacking it. Well, take a look at what happened in week 4. When we nail the cores, and of course, the projection system, I've told you guys from the start, is superior to all others. No one can touch the DFS Army prop-based projection system. No one. I challenge all comers. Bring it. But no one can touch it. But check this out. Midget coach in first and in third and in fifth in this one. Wow. Okay. Pretty good. How about Bobby Wow? What would Bobby Wow do? Win a ticket. This was all in week 4. Chris Canello. That's a DFS Army avatar. Beautiful one. And we got Great Dane and Pac-Man in there chasing. Almost got it. But that's a third ticket. Oh, how about a fourth one for Raz? Razman. 4 out of the 6 went to DFS Army this week. Sorry, Patrick Starr. Suck it. He got one too, I think, in one of the other ones. But we are continuing to attack that contest. And you know, when DFS Army is winning almost every single one of those, that we're doing something right. The models are on. The projection is right. The optimizer is killing it. Let's keep it going for NFL Week 5. So to get into this breakdown, guys, I want to start by looking at the game tiles and taking a look at each one of these matchups. We'll talk about what happened with each team last week. So here we go. Dallas at the Jets, 47-point total. Jets are at home. Slight underdogs in this game. This game looks really juicy from a DFS perspective. I will say this. I did not love, well, actually, I'm gonna talk about a little takeaway from NFL Week 4 and a reminder. I feel like this always happens to me like around 4 or 5 weeks into the season where I get the kick in the ass reminder that teams are always going to play better at home than on the road. It sounds so simple. It sounds so basic. Like, Kev, why am I watching you make a video? You're telling me some basic shit. Sometimes we need to understand the basic things. Teams play better at home. Quarterbacks do better when they are at home. Running backs do better as home favorites. We want favored running backs. We want favored players at home for our safety. Yes, a player can pop on the road for a big score, and an underdog can pop. All those things can happen. If these were absolutes, I don't want to hear in the comments like, oh, what about this time or that? Doesn't matter. The one absolute is players just play better at home. Even underdog teams are likely to put up much more of a fight at home. On the road, they just give up and they falter. How do I know? Look what the Bengals did on the road the last couple games. They just melt away. At home, they'll play a little better. That's going to be across the board. So it's something I want to keep in mind, and we're going to be talking about it as we're breaking down these games and the risk of road anything. There's always higher risk. The best player in the best spot on the road, not as good. All right, so let's get right into this one. Again, Dallas at the Jets, high total game. This one looks good on paper. Jets can't stop anything or anyone defensively right now. On offense, they're just kind of gross team, but they are solely and wholly focused on pretty much Garrett Wilson and at this point, Breece Hall. The injury to Braylon Allen last week kind of opens things up in this game. I know Fields played like shit, and he miracled his way on Monday night into a quality fantasy score. That could be another thing here. So, but this time we got the home field, less likely to play like shit. So this is a game to target on both sides. George Pickens breakout game of his career last week. Can he keep it up? Sure, why not? Javonte Williams continuing to dominate for the Cowboys as well, and some side pieces that look interesting in that one. Next, we got the Broncos at the Eagles. This looks more, 43.5-point total. This is a warning, right? Defensive battle on the way. So, these kind of games can go either way, but the total is kind of low. Two really quality defenses here. Temper expectations a little bit on that one. Miami at the Panthers. That one's interesting. Miami's a good, Miami loses, sadly. I think we lost Tyreek Hill for his career. I don't think this is a comeback from an injury that he had. So really unfortunate for Tyreek and his loved ones or whatever. But, we digress, right? So Miami has some interesting pieces. Parker Washington. There's some low-cost wide receivers that are going to be interesting now. Jalen Waddle might be a popular pick. This is a good matchup for Miami. Panthers defense not very good. Achane, this is a good spot for him. So definitely that Miami offense is going to be of interest here. And I would say that pieces from the Panthers might be of interest here, even with a low total game. I think at least Ted McMillan is somebody we should pay attention to. And if that tight end who had a big week, Tommy Tremble, is the sole tight end again this week, and he's sub 3K, all right. Next, we have the Raiders and the Colts. And again, this is another one of those examples. The Colts have been playing really, really well. But so I played some Danny Jones last week, and he's just not that sexy on the road. He was not very good. I think we go back to it. We can go back to it here. Home, favored, playing a very low-end kind of Raiders team. This line very much favors, though, a Jonathan Taylor game. Home, favorite team, big favorite. Jonathan Taylor should eat in that matchup. Next, we have this one's going to be gross. The Texans at the Ravens. The Ravens not looking like Lamar is going to play. There's nothing good going on with the Ravens. They actually don't have a bad backup. I think Cooper Rush is the backup, who is not a bad player. Much, much better than like some backups they've had in the past. Could play some competent ball. But I think if the Ravens are staying in this, I don't know. I'm just not into it. I don't care. 40-point total is gross. No. All right. Next up, Giants at the Saints. The Saints are favored? Really? Okay. 41-point total, pretty gross. I mean, there's certainly some pieces from both sides. Scatterboo, I think we go back to it. Scatterboo was a core play for me. The guy had like 9 goal line carries last. He just couldn't punch it in. He did everything else he wanted, had all the volume. He just could not punch it in for the touchdown, no matter how much they gave it to him and fed it to him. I'm telling you, it was 8 or 9 carries at the goal line. That was brutal, but it is what it is. So I think we go back to it this week off a dud. This game should be close. It should be gross, but pieces from the Saints and the Giants might be in play, even with that total. Next, we have the Titans at the Cardinals, and now Vegas is lowering the total for the Titans down appropriately to, quote, a team that sucks on offense and cannot score for a 16.75-point total. Looks like a domination by the Cardinals. This is the spot to unleash the beast that is Trey Benson, or at least I hope so. I want to take a look at the Trey Benson usage. I did see a lot of the second running back last week in the game, so I want to kind of take a look at that and just make sure that Trey Benson is getting the usage that I want from his salary level. But heavy favored home running back, that is a script. And of course, Cardinals defense. We've been just chasing the Titans all season. Whoever they're playing against, we just play that defense. It's been working. I think we should stick with it. Next, we have the Bucs at the Seahawks. The Seahawks defense has been really, really good this year. I guess it feels to me like it's out of the blue, but they've been pretty good this year. So I don't expect a whole lot again from the Bucs on the road. We don't want any of that. As far as the home team Seahawks, yeah, I mean, Jack Smith and Jigba for sure. The running game is a little sketchy right now with Charbonnet. When Charbonnet and Walker are both healthy, it's a no bueno on that team for me. I don't like the split. I don't like any of it. Lions at the Bengals. Can the Bengals play a little bit better at home with Browning at quarterback than they've been playing on the road? That's the question, because they've been terrible. The usage is still there. The player pricing is coming down. If they can make it even mildly competitive, they can get something going. I think on the Detroit side, this feels like, maybe even Montgomery, but Gibbs, Montgomery, just a running game, tearing it up in a game like this. But we'll see if the Bengals can make it competitive. I tend to think no. Chase Brown at this point is one of the hardest button clicks in all of fantasy football. He needs to be like 5K or below. Finally, in what looks like the game of the week, the Commanders travel out to San Diego to take on, or LA now, to take on the Chargers. 48-point total in that game. Pretty close. It looks like the return of Jaden Daniels. I don't like running quarterbacks coming off like a knee injury. I always think they play it ginger. They don't run as much in those games just after injury. So I'll probably be a lot more interested on the Chargers side of this one than I will on the Commanders. And there's no real game here. I mean, what game does anything stand out to you guys as you're watching this? Is there a game that stands out as a game stack? Because I'm looking at this slate thinking one-offs, some team stacks maybe, but maybe no game stacking at all. So let me know if any of these games stand out to you as something that could pop, maybe surprise to the upside. All right, let's jump over to DraftKings. And now we're going to go position by position, talk a little bit about each player, the prospects. Are we going to play them? And we'll create sort of a first look lineup as well. All right, let's start at the very top here with Jalen Hurts. Again, we talked a little bit about that game. Hurts can get it done no matter what, but he really hasn't averaged, he's averaging 21.3. This looks like a defensive kind of matchup. So this would be reserved for maybe like tournament only. My expectation is that, he's fine. Hurts is usually good for a 20 to 25 pointer, but maybe we can find something similar for cheaper. Next, we've got Jared Goff on the road. Listen, this is as good of a spot for Goff as it gets in terms of the team total. The downside here is it should be really easy for the Lions to run on Cincinnati, and so they might just not have to throw that much. It's a really weird week for especially pay-up wide receivers for this reason. There aren't a whole lot of standouts that are definitely locked into volume. So we're going to have, there's no Puka sitting here. There's no cheat code Drake London like there was last week. We're going to have to find them. We're going to have to dig deep. But yeah, Goff is okay, but I tend to think they'll lean on the run in this one. Baker Mayfield again on the road at Seattle. We don't want no road quarterbacks. Justin Herbert. So Justin Herbert's in a pretty good spot. The only downside in my mind to the Justin Herbert play is if they lean a little, just, the running game is what they've been leaning on heavily, and it's been working for them. So there's always risk of Herbert getting kind of negated by the Chargers running game. Dak Prescott also, this could be a decent spot. Again, it's road at the Jets. That's not good. Dak, much better home than on the road. Look at the difference. At home, 34, road 14, home 26, road 7. Like they don't play as well on the road. Doesn't mean he can't do it this week and he can't be great. Just means that's just been a thing with Dak Prescott. It goes back a while. So dangerous play on the road for Dak, but interesting in tournaments. And I think he'll be in my quarterback mix probably for the week. Kyler Murray at home again. Titans not going to put up any offense. I don't really like that spot for Kyler. Continuing down the list here, Danny Dimes. Two kind of disappointing games after the crazy start. They're especially disappointing because, in the case of the game against the Titans, they needed to, they put up 40 points, but he didn't do that much, right? The running hasn't been there. Not much rushing work for Jones at the Rams as well. We knew it was going to be a tough matchup at the Rams. I thought he could get past it, but there it is. So now they're back home taking on the Raiders. This is a great matchup. It's a good spot for Danny Jones. I think we go right back to him, and we've been stacking him with Pittman and Tyler Warren. I think we could go right back to that. There's no need to get cute or weird. So he'll be in the mix for me for sure. Bo Nix at Philadelphia. Again, tough defense on the road. That's not a good spot. And this is going to be gross. But I really like Fields again. I don't know what to do with that. He's kind of in a good spot. If the Jets are scoring, Dallas is going to be answering. The Cowboys are going to score a lot. They're not that good on defense. The Jets are at home. They're going to play their best game. I don't think could it be a full running game domination by Breece Hall, where Fields doesn't get to do a whole lot? Yeah, it could be. But if it's not that, even the other day, he ran for a touchdown. He got a 28. He has a 29 on the season. So he's got a couple big scores. He does not look good, though. He doesn't pass the eye test all that much. I'm not going to say he does, but he's kind of the style of quarterback that doesn't really matter. As long as he's just out there going crazy, he just kind of will get us to that 20-plus point score that we need. With 5,600, we're looking at we need about a 25er, 22 to 24. That range will be in good shape. I think he can get us there. So I'm going to plug in a Justin Fields in this lineup for now. Let's keep looking here. Tua on the road. No. Without Tyreek, definitely no. Geno Smith here on the road at the Colts. Probably not. Dart again on the road. Q-tag. Couple of problems with all of that. CJ Stroud could get it done here at Baltimore. Baltimore's been a pretty bad defense, so I don't hate it. Sam Darnold, acceptable. Bryce Young, oh man, right? Tough to stomach as well. So really interesting start to the week. Not a whole lot of pay down options that are really popping off the chart. Cooper Rush is not the kind of quarterback that I normally want to play, even as a backup, but he should be starting. So there's that for very low price. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave Fields plugged in here for now. And my considerations are going to be Dak, Herbert, Daniel Jones, and maybe a sprinkle of maybe Goff and Hurts. Maybe. Pretty small player pool so far to start the week from what I'm seeing. And this week reminds me a lot of, like a couple of years ago where there were no competitive matchups or very few and the low totals all over the place. Hopefully we'll find some good spots elsewhere. All right, moving on to the running back position. Starting at the very top, of course, we've got Jonathan Taylor in a smash spot. He's been getting targets, getting carries, volume, everything that you want. The price is $8K, so he's priced up really, really high. He's going to need to smash, but I think he can. So Jonathan Taylor is somebody I think we want to try to consider building lineups around this week. Jahmyr Gibbs should be great. Heavy favored team. Bengals can't stop the run. Last week, both running backs on the Broncos smashed against this Bengals team. Why can't both much better running backs on the Lions do the same thing? Now, does that mean I'm playing them both together? Probably not. But I think Jahmyr Gibbs is interesting, and even Montgomery is going to be interesting this week. Yeah, Barkley at home. Barkley has yet to give us that Barkley, 2024 vintage type of game. Maybe it'll never happen, or maybe it'll happen this week. I don't know, but the matchup is pretty good. H-Han's one of the guys I kind of want to build around, though. With the loss of Tyreek Hill, there's just more targets to go around. They're going to have to throw it to H-Han more. So I think H-Han's basically a running back and a wide receiver all wrapped up in one. He got the 17, didn't even catch any passes against the Jets. So imagine they threw to him. I don't know what happened there, why he wasn't targeted much on Monday night, but who cares? Bucky got the Q tag at Seattle. We'll have to monitor that health situation. Yeah, we're going to have to monitor the health situation with Bucky. I mean, if he's out at all, Rachaad White season or Sean, actually it's not. There's Tucker. There's actually a couple of names there. So there's not that much to do, even if he was out. Derrick Henry, after week 1 and that big week, has not done anything. It was a disaster last week. Again, it's not that he's not running well. He's doing fine. It's just game scripts are just kind of taking him out of these games. And it's a reminder with Derrick Henry, he is never a safe play. And this year with the Ravens defense that has kind of took a nosedive, it used to be good last year for a while. And then they lost some defensive backs and they played bad. They got good again. They're not playing well. So I wouldn't have much interest in Henry, especially as a home underdog. Ashton Jeanty, though, wow, breakout last week. 37.5, highest scoring running back, multiple touchdowns, catching 2 touchdowns, rushing for a touchdown. I mean, it was a crazy Ashton Jeanty game, and good. It's about time. So now we had the Omarion Hampton breakout. We've had the Ashton Jeanty breakout. We've had Emeka Egbuka going nuts. Who are we waiting for? Trevion Henderson. We kind of got like an RJ Harvey breakout. And I think Trevion Henderson's right around the corner. So rookie draft class doing pretty well. Oh, and Woody Marks breakout. Let's not forget about him. Yeah, Jeanty looks good. Omarion Hampton looks better. I mean, I love this spot. This is a higher score. This is one of the more competitive matchups. So Omarion Hampton to me is somebody that pretty much, yeah, there's a lot of running. I really like the running backs this week, and I'm more sketchy about the wide receivers. For everybody who likes to ask, this is a 3 running back week in my mind right now. Like, I definitely feel better clicking the running back button 3 times than I do. And they're all over the price point. So let's talk about it. Omarion Hampton, hell yeah, right? Great play. Had the highest snap count of any running back last year for his team. Last week, for his team. Put up a 30. Didn't even get a lot of carries. Only 12 carries. This kid is percolating. H-Han as well. He's like a running back and a wide receiver all wrapped into one, especially without Reek. They're going to have to throw to him. Yeah, Janty's very interesting this week as well. No problem there. Great. Looks voluminous. Walker's a no. Javonte, yes. 6,200, still affordable. Chase Brown, no. This guy's terrible. He's actually not terrible, but this team is terrible, and it's causing him to not produce quality outcomes. I do think he's due, but I just don't know when, right? I think it could even be this week, but man, as a big underdog, and it's gross against a very tough Lions defense. I don't like the spot. I do like the spot for Scattaboo, though. This kid, he did everything we would have wanted. By the way, for all the shit that everybody's giving about this guy. Oh, why'd you play Scattaboo? He got 25 carries for 79 yards, got a couple targets. I wish he was targeted a little bit more, but he also had 4 or 5 goal line carries. He had every chance to punch one in. Now, do the Giants have a good offensive line? No. That's probably why he couldn't get it done. But, I'm going to bet on volume of touches inside the 5 for a player all day. And they will hand him the football when it gets in close. Young quarterbacks like Dart just do not even have a playbook written for these goal line plays. It's a whole different offense. Kamara, no. Hubbard, no. But Trey Benson is interesting. This is the one I wanted to take a look at, right? So at first I looked at his carries, and I'm like, man, I don't know what's going on here, right? Why do you only get 8 carries, 5 targets on his first big, solo start? What are they doing? And so I'm like, did they give it to DeMercado? And I don't think so. DeMercado only got 2 rushing attempts, a couple targets. What that tells me is that Trey Benson remains firmly planted as the RB1 for the Cardinals. The Cardinals, who are at home against the Titans, who suck in all ways, who suck always in all ways, right? So you can run on the Titans, you can throw them. Trey Benson is him this week. 5,700, hell to the yeah, doing it. But wait, there's more. There's Scattaboo. There's Trey Benson. How about Breece Hall at 5,600? The bargains are everywhere. Yes, he's a slight underdog, but they're at home, and they are feeding the rock to Breece Hall at this point. Braylon Allen got hurt on Monday. They don't have anyone else. They do, kind of, but he stinks. Isaiah something or another. Isaiah Davis. It's going to be Breece Hall season. This is a great spot, a great play. And then Woody Marks. Look at all of this. So this is a week of bargain-priced running back. I can take out HN. You know what? All right, fine. Throw in some Breece Hall at 5,600. Can't help myself. Can't help it. I want to play Jonathan Taylor too. I want to play the expensive running backs, the cheap running back. I love all these running backs. This will be a fun week to handcraft because I feel really good about all of these guys, but I don't feel like one is that much better than another. Like, all right, Hampton, great. Hall, great. Benson, great. Jonathan Taylor, great. They're all great. A lot of good plays at running back. I think we're going to have to make our bones at the wide receiver position this week. That's where Woody Marks, great. By the way, I got to show you guys what Woody Marks did last week. Oh my goodness gracious, the papers. 17 carries, 5 targets. That's what you're looking for. That's what you want to see. And by the way, against the Titans. And what's a reminder again? We played Houston defense in every lineup last week, which smashed. But had we thought to pair it up with the RB2? I don't know. They kept saying his snap count was increasing and blah, blah, blah. But 6-2 the week before, 3-1, and then 17-5. I mean, that is exponential. But we know that Nick Chubb is not good. So it made sense. I have some shares of him in best ball. Yeah, Braylon Allen out. So some of these backups, whatevs, right? RJ Harvey, big week last week. Who cares? All right. Let's move on to the wide. And wide receiver is definitely going to be a little bit trickier this week. We're just going to have to find some high floor guys that we feel good about. So let's see what we can figure out here. And let's get started at the very top. Amon-Ra St. Brown coming off another monster game. Amon-Ra's the GOAT. He's so underrated. Puka outshining him, but he just keeps getting it done. 7 for 7, 2 touchdowns last week. The volume of targets hasn't been there, but much like Gibbs and Montgomery, this Detroit team just scores so much that you can get it done on slightly lower volume. So 7,900 for Amon-Ra, not bad. Jamar Chase, I don't think I'm ready to go there with Browning, no matter what he's doing. I just don't think I'm ready to go there. It's a fair price. But yeah, a little bit lower. Jackson Smith and Jigba coming off a bit of a dud. And it's a reminder that the volume has not necessarily been that crazy. They don't throw that much. And that's part of the problem. The Seahawks have been dominating a lot of these games with their defense. Can they do it again this week against Tampa? I don't know. And then we got to make a decision. Do I like the Seattle piece, or should we look at the Tampa guys like Igbuka and Godwin? But I think JSN is an interesting piece this week for sure. Emeka Igbuka also, 23 points last week, 10 targets, only 4 receptions. Tough matchup at the Eagles. Reminder, Eagles is a tough matchup. Cooper John out there is all over the place. He's joining people, joining interceptions. He's joining big hits on them. He's joining them. Am I saying that right, Philadelphia people? Let me know in the comments. Am I using John the right way, my Philadelphia people? Let me know. So yeah, Emeka Igbuka, fine. Nico Collins, interesting. Again, it's another road piece. Don't love that, but Nico Collins is pretty much the only game in town catching passes. I don't think that Houston will be able to dominate this game necessarily with their running game again like they did last week. And anytime they have to throw, Nico will generally pop to 8 to 11 targets. That's more than enough to pay off on this sort of a salary range for him. George Pickens, 36.4 fantasy points last week. couple touchdowns, 134 yards. He's taken over as that WR1 for the Cowboys now that CeeDee Lamb is out. I think that continues. Jets are going to get eaten alive by everybody no matter what all the time. So, yeah, I don't mind George Pickens there. Deebo Samuel, the return of Jaden Daniels. This is an okay spot. Zay Flowers without Lamar Jackson or with. I mean, it's one thing without, no go. But I think we go right back to Garrett Wilson, man. He looked like a leader. I was very excited about what I saw from Garrett Wilson last week. They stole a touchdown from him, the referees. The referees did everything they could to fuck up the Jets this past week. And I'm not a complainer of the refs, but that game was egregious. But Garrett Wilson got a touchdown stolen from him, or he would have had two. It would have been a monster. Everybody would be playing him. But I like pairing him up with Fields in this lineup that we're building right here. So I'm gonna plug him in and keep on going. That was 6,100. Moving down, Amon-Ra or AJ Brown. Okay, fine. Needs to put it together. Is this a spot where where Eagles are gonna have to throw? Could be. This could be a decent spot for AJ Brown. Will Pat Surtain be on him or not? I don't even know if it matters. Cortland Sutton, another guy. He's been putting up solid production every single week. This matchup is brutal, though. This will probably be a week to skip that matchup. Godwin coming off of a pile of targets, but not many receptions. 10 targets, 3 receptions. The price is right at 5,900, but I think Igbuka is still like the crisper player. Godwin might still need another week or two to get the sea legs under him. Yeah, T. Higgins is almost unplayable at this point. Terry McLaurin with the Q-Tech. Quentin Johnston's been wonderful. Another 13 targets. We cannot ignore this guy. I know we have cognitive bias against him. He's going to get us a 0 every once in a while. It's got to play Johnston. I got to play him in this matchup. It's one of the better matchups. It's at home. This is a spot to play Quentin Johnston for sure. Look at Ladd McConkey now priced below Johnston, but correctly. Johnston's averaging 20 points per game. McConkey's averaging 8.4. What do you want? Now, a lot of people are going to talk up Jalen Waddle this week. I have to look at some splits, but I haven't seen where Jalen Waddle's production has increased all that much, even when Tyreek Hill wasn't in the game. And you think, how? How is that possible? Why? But it hasn't been the case. I really need to look at the splits, though, and make sure, because on paper, it seems like it would be a good spot for Waddle, but, I mean, it just hasn't. Yeah. Marvin Harrison, again, I'm going to prefer the passing game of the Cardinals in competitive matchups, which I don't think this one is. So I'm not super excited about it. You got Wandy Robinson priced up. Chris Olave could be interesting. Olave was kind of chalky last week. Got the touchdown, barely produced enough fantasy production to be relevant with a 10. So not that great. Not that great for a guy who was chalk. You know what else was chalk last week? And I skipped it. Jacoby Myers. I mean, how many disappointments do you need out of this fucking guy before we say enough is enough? And now that I just said that, of course, he's going to smash this week. That's how it goes. But, man, it's hard to – I'm not hasn't been good for Jacoby. Pittman here is a piece to stack with Daniel Jones, probably exclusively. 10 targets, 5 receptions. Had another good game. I like what Pittman's doing. So if this was a Danny Jones, I don't even mind it as a standalone, but certainly if it was a Danny Jones lineup, I'm interested. Let's see what cheapies are available to us that might stand out. Kupp, Shaheed, Bateman. All right, first cheapie. I've got a few here. So sub 5K. First off, Darius Slayton. Now that Malik Neighbors is gone, maybe Slayton will step into that role. He's been in that role for the Giants before. He's not that great at it, but Dart is an exciting young player, so why not? So Slayton in the turd mix. Troy Franklin continues to be targeted at a hefty rate, 8, 4, 9, and 6. So he is averaging around 6 to 7 targets per game. Yes, please. 6, 7 targets for a 4K guy. Denver, in this spot, he'll avoid the tougher matchup. They'll probably have their best coverage guys on Sutton, which could open things up for Franklin. Hey, it's Franklin. Malik Washington is somebody I'm interested in. Now that Tyreek Hill is out for 3,900, Malik Washington gets a lot of work in most of these games here. I guess he was only 3 or 5 to get a couple carries last week. But he seems most in line to get the target spike. Unless it's Westbrook-Akine. Actually, there's some danger there. Malik Washington, Sterling Shepard, no. Higgins, no. Marvin Mims Jr., yes. 6 for 6. Popped last week. I mean, not this week. I like him as a turd, but I don't think actually this week doesn't stand out. A couple of the names, though. Ladd McCaffrey's been involved in his offense a little bit more every week. So, okay, just mental note. Adonai Mitchell. I don't have the footage of it, guys. I should have had it queued up. Actually, I'm not even allowed to show. I'm probably not allowed to show NFL footage on this. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. But my guy was wide open. He's running for the touchdown. And he just wanted to show off, and he sticks the ball out. It gets knocked out. This was one of the biggest disasters that I've ever seen. Instead of the touchdown, it's a fumble in the end zone for a freaking touchback. Are you kidding me? Or safety or whatever the hell that was. We had so much Adonai Mitchell, DFS Army last week. I had 20% in my personal runs, 25% exposure on a 2% guy. If he scores that touchdown, I'm sure I'm making millions. Probably not, but I'm making a lot. Oh, well. I don't know. Probably go back to it if Alec Pierce is out again, but man, it's not going to feel good doing it. Yeah, Westbrook-Ikhine is the other guy from Miami that could get the bump with Tyreek Hill on the shelf this week. All right. That covers the wide receiver group. I only put in 2 in my lineups. I got to get a third guy going here. See, that's what happens. No one's really popping for me like as a must play. Yeah, I think Ted McMillan here. I like this spot. I like this Miami game, so I say build around it. I can even swap to like I guess in this, if we're making a full version of this, I'd probably swap to Achane. We'll do that in a minute. All right, let's talk team defense, and then we'll get to the tight end position, just so we know how much money we have left. All right, so on defense here, Bengals no, Saints maybe. This is an acceptable play, Saints at home against Dart, a rookie. This is an acceptable pay down option. So I'm going to call them the cheapest viable. Houston at Baltimore, Cooper Rush, playable. Panthers defense, playable. Seattle, maybe. Dallas against the Jets, mildly playable. Giants against New Orleans are playable. So we have a lot of pay down options at the defense position this week. Miami at Carolina, acceptable. Colts, Baltimore, no. Cincinnati and Arizona, of course. Not Cincinnati. Detroit and Arizona make for pretty good plays as well if we want to pay up, right? We've been targeting Tennessee all year with defenses. Of course, they're the most expensive now, the Cardinals, but still doable. And then, of course, we have the Lions on the road, but the Bengals have been terrible. Still, we want those home defenses if we can get them. I'll take the Saints, and that leaves me 6,900 for the flex. Fine by me, or for the tight end. We're not going to spend that at tight end, probably. I know McBride. This ain't the spot for McBride. I think it's Ferguson to bring back a piece from this Jets game that we've built. I like this lineup. I really like it. And, from here, we can actually make a decision to upgrade one of these spots. So I can go from, let's say, since we can Fields in there. All right. So with Fields in there, maybe we'll go and just swap it out for an Achane or something like that. But that's going to do it, guys. First look, DraftKings, NFL, Week 5. Let me know what quarterback wide receiver stack you're starting your first lineup with this week. I did Fields to Garrett Wilson in this one. Had a little Breece Hall in there as well. Pulled him out at the end. But I did Fields to Garrett Wilson. What about you? How about Danny Jones to Pittman/Warren? Is that an exciting one? Let me know what QB wide receiver stacks you're attacking in NFL Week 5. Hit me in the comments. Let me know. We'll see you later in the week on Tournament Tactics on Friday at 5. Good luck this week, everyone. And remember, if you want to get signed up at DFS Army, have the tools to attack these pocket minis or other tournaments, the mini max. It does not matter what your bankroll is. We will help you become a better player. DFS Army has always been about helping average Joes compete like DFS pros. And that's what we do. That's why we're taking down tournaments all the time. We do a lot of teaching in DFS Army. We have a lot of streams where we're doing setup of the optimizer. You don't see any of that anywhere else. They give you some tools, $300-400 a month. Enjoy, try to figure it out. You lose your money. They don't give a shit. They got you 300. That's not how we do it at DFS Army. We're here to help. I personally do the optimizer setup streams for almost every main slate, many of the showdowns. We do we do Players Club on Saturdays where we build lineups for multipliers and small tournaments, handcrafted lineups. We've got it covered. Everything DFS, up, down, left, right, whatever you want. Promo code Geek, 10% off at DFS Army. Helmets up, everyone. We'll see you next time.